As a continental power intent on offensive operations, Germany could not ignore the need for aerial support of ground operations. Though the Luftwaffe, like its counterparts, tended to focus on strategic bombing, it was unique in its willingness to commit forces to close air support, or CAS. Ernst Udet, the chief of the Luftwaffe's development, initiated procurement of close support dive bombers on the model of the US Navy's Curtiss Helldriver, resulting in the infamous Junkers Ju-87 Stuka. The Luftwaffe also organized a limited number of air liaison detachments that were attached to ground units of the main effort. However, German close air support was not perfect and suffered from the same misunderstanding that plagued other nations' air arms, and friendly fire was absolutely not uncommon. To avoid friendly fire, and as a very simple friend or foe identification, many panzer crews would try to provide air identification for friendly aircraft, so that they could focus on other units by displaying a swastika on the top portion of their vehicles. Normally, this was done with a rolled-up flag that was unfurled when they knew or suspected friendly aircraft were operating near them, which could be rolled up if they came under attack by enemy ground attack aircraft. Some vehicles also opted to paint it on, like this Panzer III Ausführung L or L version, which rolled into its side during combat. Notice the swastika painted on the turret storage bin and the Panzer Division tactical marking on the front fender. This particular vehicle belonged to the 2nd SS Panzer Division, Das Reich. These German vehicle recognition flags were supposedly placed on vehicles so that German planes could tell where the German front line actually was. But the German army did early in the war use signal drapes not only to mark the actual front line, but also to identify German units for the Luftwaffe. The only officially documented marking was the national flag with the swastika emblem. These drapes could be identified because they lacked loops for hoisting and had loops on all four corners, making them suitable for fixing on tanks and even on front deck of warships. The German General Staff issued the following order in March of 1940. In anticipation of recognition problems between the Army and Air Force, support units during the upcoming invasion of France and the Netherlands, a swastika flag is to be utilized by all troops for recognition purposes when in a combat zone. So not only panzers, but the infantry units also use this method. The swastika flag was, according to the circumstances, to be spread out on the ground, to be waved to, or to be stretched across a vehicle. The swastika flag was either a standard national flag or a special issue flag with a metal grommet on each corner for tying down purposes. This simple solution helped a lot because German close air support was extensively used in the Eastern Front during the period of 1941 to 1943. Their decline was caused by the growing strength of the Red Air Force and the redeployment of assets to defend against American and British strategic bombardment. Luftwaffe's loss of air superiority, combined with a declining supply of aircraft and fuel, crippled their ability to provide effective CAS, especially on the Western Front after 1943. Later in the war, the use of the Balkan Cross flag, A white circle with a Balkan cross in its center rather than a swastika on a red field gradually replaced the swastika flag. It should be noted that these flags were rarely used in the final stages of the war because the Allies had undisputed air superiority over most fronts. According to some German experts, this was merely a post-war invention that was never actually used by the German armed forces during the war. The Balkan cross version, meaning that the cross consists of two Balkan, the German word for bars or barks, may also have been manufactured, but apparently was never widely distributed before the war's end. One suggestion was that they had been warehoused and Allied occupation troops later found them and brought them home as souvenirs in large numbers. However, several compelling period photos do exist with that appears to be the Balkan cross version of the German vehicle drape being used on the Eastern Front during 1944, and there are reports of its use during the Battle of Bulge in 1944 December. Since most Allied troops picked up the majority of their souvenirs at the end of the war or immediately after its end, it is unwise, of course, to carry items looted from your enemy when there is a danger of being captured yourself. The extent and use of this specific drape is hard to determine.